What is bad cholesterol? Is it LDL? Let's look at it. Let's really look at the research. Good evening. Let's talk about cholesterol tonight. This is a really important subject, and it's one that I really think we should spend some time on. The subject of cholesterol is very important to me because uh, 2 years ago at this time, I was on a statin drug myself for high cholesterol. And 2 years ago, I was also diabetic and didn't know it yet, hadn't been diagnosed yet. And I was also 75 pounds heavier than I am now, and had to sleep with a CPAP device. And I was on two different medicines for high blood pressure. I was a ticking time bomb basically this time 2 years ago. And starting 20 months ago, about 20 months ago, uh, when I was diagnosed with being diabetic with a A1C of a 9.9, I began a health journey that's taken me where I am today. I take no medications for anything, and that includes the blood pressure medicines and the statin for cholesterol. I don't take the statin. Knowing what I know now, I would never ever take a statin again, no matter what my cholesterol numbers were. 2 years ago, before being diagnosed diabetic, I did whatever the doctor recommended and didn't really question anything. But I've learned a lot in the past 20 months, and I started this channel to try to help others learn what I've spent a lot of time trying to learn in the past 20 months. So, on the subject of cholesterol, are you aware that 75 to 85% uh, of all the cholesterol that we use in our bodies are made by our own bodies? Are you aware of that? That anywhere from 75 to 85% of our cholesterol is made by our own body. Everyone seems to think that dietary cholesterol is what it's all about. But the vast majority of the cholesterol that we use in our body is made by our own body. To give you an idea, that's like our own bodies make 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol. That's the equivalent to compare it to some foods so that you'll know what 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol equate to. That's the equivalent of the cholesterol in 14 eggs or 300 slices of bacon or 1 pound of butter. So that gives you an idea of the kind of cholesterol that our own bodies make. Why is our body designed to make cholesterol? Because our bodies need cholesterol. Every single cell in our body needs cholesterol. The cell membranes in our body require cholesterol. Cholesterol is not an evil thing. Without cholesterol, there is no life. Not a single cell in our body can survive without cholesterol. So keep that in mind. Um, our immune system right now with the coronavirus, everyone's concerned about their immune system. Cholesterol is required to have a strong immune system. Our sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, even cortisol, requires cholesterol. Without cholesterol, uh, we wouldn't have the synthesis of these necessary hormones that our bodies need. Our adrenal hormones require this, and also vitamin D. I think everybody now has heard how important vitamin D is, and you need to get out in the sun and get your vitamin D. Without cholesterol, our body would not synthesize the vitamin D that we get from the sun. And also, our nerves, including our brains, must have cholesterol. And so there's been a lot of demonization of dietary cholesterol. And it has become so pervasive. One thing I've learned now is that total cholesterol, that when you get your blood work done and it shows a total cholesterol number, that's totally meaningless. The total cholesterol number is totally meaningless. What's more important to look at is your triglycerides and your HDL cholesterol, and also your A1C. If your A1C is high, if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic even, then there is a dangerous situation. There is no bad cholesterol. They've always labeled HDL as the good cholesterol and LDL as bad cholesterol. Neither are bad. A high A1C can make a dangerous situation combined with LDL, but the problem is the insulin resistance and the high blood sugar. That's inflammatory, and that when that inflammation occurs in your blood vessels, that's when you get plaques that form as a result of the inflammation, not the cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. LDL cholesterol will be found in those plaques. But let me give you an illustration that I heard a cardiologist that understands this stuff, an illustration that he used. He said, if you went to the scene of a lot of fires, house fires or commercial fires, and you noticed that there were firefighters at all of those fires, you might, if you were very misguided and ill-informed, you might conclude that firefighters cause fires. And that's what's been done to cholesterol, because cholesterol is found in plaques in arteries. They're no more guilty than the firefighter is. They didn't cause the problem. The problem was caused by inflammation. It's an insulin problem, a blood sugar problem. And certainly dietary cholesterol, if cholesterol in general is not the problem with heart disease, dietary cholesterol, the amount of cholesterol that we eat, certainly is not a problem. In fact, as I said before, 75 to 85% of the cholesterol that our body needs and must have to survive is made by our own body. Only a small percentage is due to what we eat, to our dietary cholesterol. If we cut back on the amount of cholesterol that we eat, our body will produce more. If we eat too much dietary cholesterol, our body will make less. Our body is designed in a way that it's going to get the right amount of cholesterol, whether it comes through our diet or not. So to demonize dietary cholesterol is just wrong. I guess since the 1960s or so, eggs have been demonized because of cholesterol in the egg yolks. Because in reality, eggs are a great source of nutrition, and there's no reason not to eat eggs. 1955, our president at that time, Dwight Eisenhower, had a heart attack, and the nation kind of went in panic over that. And in our society, in American society as a whole, heart disease was on the rise. And then when our president had a heart attack, it really made everybody nervous about the problem of heart disease, and a lot of research began to take place to try to discover what the cause was. And a very bright scientist named Ansel Keys, not an MD, a PhD, I believe, started doing research and came up with some faulty conclusions, unfortunately. He studied the diets in 22 different countries. He went in with the hypothesis that dietary cholesterol caused heart disease, and he studied the diets in 22 different countries and then cherry picked the data from 7 of those countries, and it became known as his 7-country study, and it was lauded as this wonderful research. He only cherry picked the data from 7 countries that fit his hypothesis that dietary cholesterol was the problem or the cause of heart disease, a contributing factor, a major contributing factor to heart disease. And we still struggle with those guidelines to this very day, even though it's been shown that those were faulty assumptions. Look at American society in general. Has heart disease gotten better with the popular low-fat, higher-carb diets? No, it's gotten much, much worse. Heart disease has become much, much worse following those guidelines, and diabetes and obesity have increased as well. Now, another backtrack starting in the 1930s, we started using seed oils. Good marketing technique was that they called those vegetable oils, but they're not vegetable oils, they're seed oils. They were never intended for human consumption, but entrepreneurial companies turned them in to a money-making opportunity and sold them as healthy vegetable oil, heart-healthy vegetable oils. And we still fight that nonsense today, but that started in the 1930s. And 25 years later, our president has a heart attack. He was the first president to have a heart attack while serving in office. And heart disease in general had gotten much worse from the 1930s to 1960. In that 30-year period, heart disease had gone way up. And it hasn't gotten better since the 1960s when these low-fat guidelines came out. And in my opinion, I've studied a lot of different research on this in the past 20 months, and I'm going to provide links in the description of this video below where you can research this further. But the low-fat diet, which also comes with higher carbohydrates, was the biggest mistake. And along with that, the use of these seed oils, which again are called vegetable oils, contributed to most of the diseases that we struggle with today, with obesity and diabetes and heart disease. Heart-healthy vegetable oils are killing people. They're not helping people. And cholesterol has been wrongly villainized, particularly LDL. And, once Big Pharma came up with a solution for LDL with the statin drugs, that became a multi-billion-dollar cash cow for Big Pharma. It's no longer about the health or about the science behind any of it. It becomes, you just have to follow the dollars on stuff like that. Again, I'm going to put links below. This is a very important topic. If you're not clear on this subject, if you think it's necessary to take statins and you think it's necessary to avoid eggs and you think that vegetable oils are heart healthy, please research this. I'll end by saying, live healthy, finish strong. Thank you.